Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my Christmas series. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this craft, I used the Rust-Oleum 2x Ultra Cover paint in white gloss. That was really good. I did it in one coat. This is an everyday Dollar Tree plastic tray. It's available at my Dollar Tree all year round. I hope you guys can find it. If not, any plastic tray will work. And that is a free printable that I made, and it's available down below my video in the description box. You just click the link and it will take you right to it. If you're on a PC, click the words that say show more. If you're on a cell phone or a iPad or a tablet type thing, there will be a little gray arrow in the upper right hand corner. Just tap that and the drop down menu will appear, and that's where you'll find a lot of information and my free printables as well. So here I'm creasing it. I originally started with my fingers. I knew it wasn't going to be deep enough, so that end of the sponge brush there, the wood part, because it was round, it didn't have any sharp edges, worked really well. I got a really deep, nice line without any damage to the paper, so I was able to cut a perfect fit. And I'm really excited about this craft, you guys, because when I poured the Mod Podge on and it dried, you literally cannot see the seam of the paper unless you're looking for it. If you know that it's Mod Podged on there or you have a magnifying glass. But it was amazing how, that's one thing I love about Mod Podge, because it has plastic in it, it is really thick. So for whatever reason with this craft, it just disguised the fact that it was paper really, really well. You couldn't see the seams at all, and so that was a pleasant surprise. You'll see it at the end, but it looks really, really good. Now I want to share a little trick here about how to prevent your ink from running when you use Mod Podge. Somebody asked me about that last time. I've never had a problem with it, but I switched out to a cheaper ink. It's not the brand name that comes with my printer, and this time the North Pole ran a little bit, but it was a happy mistake, as Bob Ross would say, because it actually flared out like pink shards. It made it look really magical and kind of like Candyland, like the North Pole, so it was all good. It looked like the cookie sprinkles, so it went perfect. I couldn't have done it any better than that if I had tried with a printer. But you just mist your project, whatever it is, with a little bit of polyacrylic spray, let it dry, and then you're good to go to put your Mod Podge on. I'm using a piece of scrap wood that I had in the garage, and I cut it at a 45-degree angle. But here's the window box from the Dollar Tree, and I was going to use this and use the back of it for the barn. You could also use the front of it if you want a window type barn scene. That might be kind of cute. They have so many house shapes now where I am. I hope that's going on in all of the Dollar Trees. But if you don't have that, you can also take the Dollar Tree signs and cut them into the shape of a house, and then use the scraps that are cut off to make sides. When there's a will, there's a way. So this craft is so much fun, and these are totally on trend. So I'm cutting these craft sticks to make my roof. I want my roof to be jagged, so I deliberately broke one end and cut the other end because I want it to look more rustic. And there's a little trick with the craft stick that I wanted to share. When you're cutting it up the center to get a thinner stick, because I didn't have any thinner sticks and I didn't want to go to the store, cut halfway up, then turn it around and cut the other halfway up. That way it won't split on you. So that's a nice tip. And here I'm just applying my roof with some hot glue and some wood glue. If you're you don't have to do this. This is optional. It's just I like it really rustic, and so that was a little too neat and clean for me. See the ends right there when I move my thumb? They're just kind of jagged. For me, that was more like a old barn, an old abandoned barn. And I'm actually keeping this up all year round. So I kind of, wavered back and forth deciding whether I wanted to write Merry Christmas on it or not. And I finally said, no, this is too cute. This is going to be on my Farmhouse console table all year round. I just think it's adorable. So I opt for this color red. I think it's called like a fire truck red. I went for a really bright one. You guys don't have to, or I could have used a burgundy red, but I decided to make it pop. And I deliberately paint it in a way where some of the wood is left behind, showing it. Now on one side of this barn here, or this wood, there was already white paint. My son gave me this from a bed frame that he built that he took apart, and he said, oh mom, I know you use wood, do you want it? I'm like, hey, yes. You bet I do. So it worked out really, really well because there was already white under there. So if you like the look you see that I'm getting right here, you would need to paint a light bit of white underneath. And I'm using my favorite color, black, to distress it, just adding some, dirt here and there to make it look old and weathered. And I pour a little bit of water inside the black paint to make a nice black stain for the roof, because I know, look at that. I knew it would do that. It just kind of came up with some brown tones in there too. I loved the way that came out. So I'm just adding some of that black paint that's watered down underneath the roof where it would naturally get dirty and accumulate there. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint the sticks that I cut a nice bright snow white. I'm painting it with my homemade chalk paint. If you want to know how to make that, there is the video link down below in my description box as well. It's very cheap. I still have a lot left, so I haven't been really motivated to make the new video. I have ordered all the ingredients. You guys, I could have wrote a book at how difficult that was regarding the supplies from the supplier that I wanted it from, but anyway, it is slowly all coming together. I'm actually thinking about adding another ingredient that might work, and so that would mean I'd have to order another one, because I want to give you guys lots of options, and I also want to show you what doesn't work, but we're working on it. So here you see me laying down the stick. I'm cutting it at an angle. I recommend you do that before you paint it. You get cleaner seams that way, because when you paint it, the paint fills it in kind of like a wood filler would, or a spackling, so you don't have to do that step, and it looks nice and clean. Here's the Dollar Tree pine. I've complained about it being cheap looking before. The way I make it look more expensive is I usually trim it down a little bit. I took that piece out and flocked it earlier that week with a bit of spray paint outside. It came out great. And now I'm just using this round little jar to make a perfect circle. That's a nice little tip there. You know, probably most of you guys know that, but just in case. And I decide, because I do want to keep this up all year round, that I don't really want to go with all pine. So I take some of that Walmart floral and I just wire it on there to, it'll still pass for Christmas, but then I can keep it up all year. And here's the Dollar Tree buffalo check ribbon. I'm just floating some fire over it there. It stops the edges from fraying and seals them up really nicely so they stay nice and clean for you. And there's what we end up with, you guys. And I love this barn so much. It's perfect for Christmas, and I cannot wait to keep it up all year round. Here's the online inspiration piece. They are oversized farmhouse Christmas trees. I think they are so cute. So I'm spraying some metallic silver spray on black poster board and blotting it off with a paper towel. And I'm showing you both black and white poster board because I tried both to see what look I would get, to see which one I liked better. I ended up going with the black one because I thought it looked more like aged metal, even maybe galvanized metal. It's probably a stretch for galvanized because it doesn't have the little amoeba shapes, but we're getting there. I mean, it was pretty, it's a fast way to get the aged metal look, and that's good enough for what I'm doing. And now I'm just taking the foam tree from the Dollar Tree. That comes in a set. I think it's 6, it might be 8, but I'm using it as a pattern. You could just hold a piece of paper up to your computer screen and get a pattern of a Christmas tree online. You don't have to print anything up. You don't have to have that foam Christmas tree. I'm just using it for, a little template so that I can cut out my metal tree. Now, the one thing I will say that I learned doing this is I would suggest that you fold your poster board first and then cut it out. You know, trace your shape and cut it out, because once you cut out your shape and you try to fold it, you have all these little fragile edges that want to tear, and they almost did. I was very stressed. Luckily, we got through it, but it made it a lot harder than it needed to be. So here I am, I'm just giving it a light coat of the white chalk paint. That is my homemade chalk paint again, and I'm using the color Country Tan by Apple Barrel Paint to paint a little bit of dry brushing on there and, you know, give it a little bit of texture and a little bit of a more rustic look. Here's some Dollar Tree pine. I'm just trimming down a little bit to make it fit more with this craft. It does make it look more expensive, but you know, if you want a bigger pine, then of course that kind of sabotages that. So another way to get this pine to look more expensive is you can just flock it with some white spray paint or some green spray paint if it's a better color. And you actually get a really neat pine look where it's like it has dimension because it's different shades of green. I've done all kinds of things to dress this pine up, you guys, and it's great for crafts. I actually love it. So now I'm just using some of the Walmart twine because I wanted it a little bit thicker because this tree is, you know, kind of big and heavier looking than the ornaments were. And I'm topping it with the Dollar Tree little sticker snowflake that comes in a set, and the little Dollar Tree pine cones on the top. I just think this came out so cute. I do have the mini bells from the Dollar Tree, and I was debating whether I should do those, but I couldn't find them. So I ended up going with the pine cones, which I think came out totally rustic cute. And now I'm just gluing a little bit of spare wood on the back that I had to help it stand up straight on its own. And I end up taking the color Nutmeg and going around the edges of this tree just to add a little bit more dimension, kind of like a faux rust, because I liked that. You don't have to do that. It looks really nice without it. You know, it's optional, but I just end up wanting to make it look a little bit older. You'll see me put a little bit of rust on the center of the tree as well and smearing it with my finger. For this craft, you're going to need one of those flying disc frisbees from the Dollar Tree and some of the little table tennis ping pong balls. I call them ping pong balls. I don't know why they call them table tennis, but I'm showing you that even though I painted this with the same Rust-Oleum white paint and primer, it was really resistant as far as sticking. It was chipping off really easily, so I did end up having to touch it up, and it was no big deal because for what I'm making this for, it's going to be covered. But I just wanted to let you know that you may want to maybe sand the frisbee a little bit if you want to put things that will bang it around, or put a coat of Mod Podge or a polyacrylic spray, just something to protect it a little bit more. I didn't bother because I didn't need to. And now I'm taking the color in, I believe that is khaki, and I'm just taking it and dry brushing it all over and smearing it on. This ends up coming up. This is my favorite craft. I always save my favorite craft for the end of my videos. I don't know if you guys have figured that out yet, but I love kind of, that's my like finale. You know, you never know when you start a DIY, you know, you have a vision for a craft and you hope it comes up good. And when it comes up better than your expectations, it's so, you know, it's so exciting. But this craft ended up coming up so cute. So the first layer I do is the khaki, and then I turn to my favorite burnt umber. You can see it's already ready to go in the bowl there. And I'm going to do some more dry brushing with the burnt umber. But as I dry brush, I'm going to use a tissue and wipe and smear as I go. And I end up getting just a beautiful effect. Watch as I keep going. Doesn't that look pretty? It's too bad those 4 little circles are there. I mean, I'm going to fill it up, and I knew that right when I bought it, so I didn't care. I'm after those designs right there. They are absolutely beautiful when I dry brush them. They look like a little wooden bowl. I mean, they look so cute, those lines. And I know I'm going to be covering up the inside, so I wasn't too worried about it, but I just thought that paint came up so pretty. Now, if you want to know how I made the faux birchwood right there, there's a separate video for that, and I will link it below in my description box as well as at the end of this video. Just click on it and there's a tutorial how to make that faux birchwood. It looks really amazing. But check out how good that Dollar Tree garland looks when it's flocked with spray paint, you guys. It is a super quick, easy way to dress it up. You can also use a paintbrush and just kind of tap the paint on, but it looks really nice flocked. I'm just filling this up with all natural little florals from the Dollar Tree and the little wood sticks. I'm a big fan of Christmas stuff that brings like the forest inside, nature, because you can't beat that. I mean, in the old days, they didn't have plastic florals. They decorated by bringing the outdoors in, and I just still think that is such a beautiful, beautiful, fresh, crisp Yuletide look. Anyway, here it is, you guys. I love this craft. If you enjoyed this video today, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it. It really does help my videos get seen on YouTube. And until the next one, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.